A nice intimate gathering. Buenas tardes. Galería La Raza, and I want to welcome you to Galería Studio 24. By show of hands, who has been to Galería 24? Okay, so you must see it, you must see the old building. We're in a new space now. A little bit about our history. We're a 50-year history organization that was founded in the civil rights movement and created the artistic part of expressing what we were trying to fight for. I wasn't there, I just did what we were fighting for. And it continues to be really important to this day. So we're really, it's good to be able to have a space and it continues to foster and cultivate places of belonging. And we continue to do that to this day in now collaboration, really trying to be in a collaborative spirit with many communities. We've always done that, but it's really important to be in on them. So we're at Studio 24. This is one of two spaces that we are going to be operating out of. We are currently here and we're finishing students and Shoppa. And that'll be a black box theater and a main gallery with some conference space. So stay tuned for this year. We hope to see your faces and the new space. We'll continue to operate at Studio 24 as like our think tank, our artist studio, and administrative space. So don't forget about this space when we're over there as well. I want to welcome you and also thank you for being started with the making it possible for volunteers. Mariam, Natalie, Gracia, and then our intern Jose. And also thank the staff, Yvette Diaz, your manager, and Paola Castellanos, operations coordinator. And of course, the artists and everyone, and you guys as well. So we're going to have a conversation. We're also going to be kind of going a little bit back and forth between Spanish and English, and there will be some translation. So just bear with us. We're going to all get multilingual, and that's part of the story with this exhibition, right? Our language, our story, how do we create inclusive space. So thank you for bearing with us. We kind of need translation, slow so they can catch up. Okay. Welcome. I'm going to do introductions of who is on today. We're going to open it up for some questions. Joyce is a photographer, activist based in the Bay Area. Her work covers Asian American communities, all their social movements. She makes photos as a way to envision and create a more just and free world and works in relationship with the people, communities, and organizations involved. Her work has been exhibited across the Bay Area, most recently at the Ramona Center for Art, in the Open Asian Center, in media publications, and as part of advocacy campaigns. Yes. And Sergio de la Torre is an artist and educator that works, whose work often involves collaborations with subjects and invites both intimate and critical reflections on topics related to housing, immigration, and labor. De la Torre purposely works with individuals from marginalized sectors in the city he works in, including factory workers and shoe shine boys in Mexico City, undocumented immigrants in San Francisco, and evicted families. In his work, De la Torre tried to approach the lives of these individuals not as victim subjects, but rather to re-examine the meaning of their actions in the context of shifting global conditions. Welcome, Sergio. Yes. And last but not least, Winnie Kao is joining us. Winnie Kao is a senior counsel at the Asian Law Caucus. She served as ALC's Workers' Rights Program Director from 2011 to 2024 and litigation director from 2012 to 2020. Prior to AOC, Winnie worked at a union-side labor and employment law firm where she primarily represented hotel, restaurant, and food and commercial workers and unions in a wide variety of labor, employment, constitutional, and class action cases. Winnie was previously a trial attorney for the United States Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, where she litigated housing and accommodation and discrimination cases. Winnie has also worked as a community organizer for labor and civil rights. She has won commendations and awards for her work from numerous organizations, including the National Asian Pacific and American Bar Association, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, the National Asian Pacific American Women's Forum, and the U.S. Department of Justice and the University of Michigan Law School. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. And, just to reiterate what we're talking about. So today we're going to be talking about our language, our story with Joyce. And then we also are going to be in conversation with the window project, which is right now is some detailed examples of the detail right behind this little cubby. And then we're also showcasing it on 16th Street. It is actually really beautiful. It is covered the windows of our new space and creating, moments of joy for people to walk and engage, and it's really reflective of the communities in that neighborhood. So we'll go into a conversation. We have some questions, and I want to hear from you all. So I'm going to start with Joyce. I want to have you explain to us how our language, our story, what influenced the creation of this body of work. What helped you to start documenting and how to come up with it?
Alright, it's working, right? Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for everyone for being here. And yeah, so glad to be able to show this work in this space. Today's the last day, so we did run it. Hopefully, we have more time. But yeah, the way that this work came about was substantial. Conversation with Asian Law Caucus, specifically Nikita, because she's not here today, but was one of the big contributors to this project. There was, we were just talking, like, how can we start talking as a way to advance all this advocacy work, see what they're doing. And I think both of us were just like thinking about it. And she kind of, a lot of the work that we, Asian Law Caucus, does is related to the Texas, but Texas itself is not a topic that everyone's like really super excited and like out in the streets and just out there like rah about. It's not one of you know gets everyone automatically up and excited and advocating for it, right? It's one of those things that like a lot of us are working with it, friends ourselves or children, language affects everything in life, everything that we do, everything, that we navigate day to day. But a lot of conversations about like since we're like very niche policy conversations that we're having legal and policy circles, and it was kind of uninspiring, to be honest. So like how can we kind of make this root and like show why this is so important to people? Like, what's the emotions and the human impact and the way that it affects people? Why is language so important? Like, oh, okay, let's put together a project to do this. So we came up with this project, which essentially is a series of follow-up stories from individuals. people who are immigrants, children of immigrants, who have been here for a long time, who just came, like, people talking about their experiences um, with language. And I think words themselves are different than photos, and photos without words are also not exactly the same. So we wanted to really have a chance for everybody to express themselves and to share their firsthand, like their own experience with language, their own experience with life, and to be able to show them these photos. So yeah, that's how the project came about, and the making project. So that took a long time.
Yeah, first before you started studying photos of my impact, because there were hundreds, right? Like going sifting through the files, it would be building to really, you know, really beautiful photos. So the idea came first, and then you started the shooting the subject. Did you get to for the organization? Were you particularly interested in a community? And so,
Yeah. So yeah, this is kind of a common question. Where do these people come from? Like, how did you choose the people in the project? It was kind of an organic process because, well, I think one thing that can happen, and I've kind of been on both sides of this, like somebody's story hasn't been told, and also somebody who's sharing other people's stories. But it could be a kind of a way that is transactional, where there's parachuting in and just grabbing a story and storytelling it to the world. So I kind of wanted to make sure that we had built relationships with people, and we had trust with different organizations that we're working with. So we kind of just started thinking, who do we know, which organizations, like myself, to the Asian Law Caucus. So who do we feel like can really understand the heart and soul of the project, the intention of it, who trust us to kind of just like thought about orgs and people that we know and just started asking around. When we started asking around, the feedback that we got, oh my gosh, there's so many stories about properties, like people. Okay. So then we had to think about like, okay, we want to share kind of um, a good different types of stories, right? Different languages. I mean, we have people from different places, different experiences, and different types of work. Ultimately, between who had the capacity and the interest to do it, and kind of like curating a mix of stories.
I'm gonna move to Winnie and then this question about this project. And both projects, our story and project, directly engages in social practice and collaborating with community. For you all, how do you think projects like these help advance your work that you are doing law? How do you see this partnership with others helping in the future? And I'm going to translate it to Spanish as much economy inclusive. La pregunta que hago es que los proyectos que estamos observando usan arte y la cómo puede del lado de Asian Law Caucus, la intersección del arte para ayudar a el trabajo que ellos están haciendo con ellos. Yes.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting. I was listening to an interview recently of Barbara Salford, a novelist, and she was talking about how stories and storytelling uniquely human, that humans need stories to understand themselves, to understand the world, and to relate to it, and who we are and And that really, I thought was really true. And that's definitely true for any because legal case. You know, as Joyce was saying, I mean, our organizations, a lot of the organizations here, we've been fighting around language access, you know, from the beginning, because as Joyce touches everything. Cross programs, access to government services, access to healthcare, access to the courts, it's being able to just speak, tell your story without language. We can't do any of that. And we try to bring these cases, but it's really hard to explain that a judge or a court hasn't lived our experience. But art tells the story in this incredibly powerful way. It lets us pay attention or see it anew or and connect to each other and feel. And judges are human, juries are human, policymakers are human. If they can't see or hear or understand, we can't persuade everybody. And so I was so excited about this project. And I was really intrigued by it too, because Joyce and Nikita pulled in some of us, the rest of the caucus, to come and just brainstorm about it. And I was like, wow, how do you take pictures of language access? I mean, for me, I was like, oh, language access is audio, it's, you know, it should be a podcast or a radio story or something like that. But it's like, wow, so what a challenge. How do you capture that in pictures? And I just, it's been so great to see it. And actually, Joyce and I were just talking about it. There's one picture talking about, like, there's so many pictures, and, you know, this is only a small collection of them, but actually, my favorite picture is not here. But my favorite picture, which hopefully, you know, we can see the right thing. Someone. It was in the first time we have a preview of, like, the teaser. And it's this really wonderful photo, as I remember the picture. It's like this Chinese grandfather, father, and this little kid, and they're at the library, and the father's reading a Chinese paper, and the little kid is reading like a book or something like that. But it just told so much of a story of so many of our family members or people we know, our clients or community members where they and kids care so much. Kids care so much for their families and language speaks about. I just thought that was a really one. And they were like signing each other, kind of laughing, or like they were relating in a way that was like really beautiful. So I think that's for our advocacy, and it makes we need to change our communities under, you know, the broader understanding of these things. That's necessary.
And we'll come back to more of that in a moment, because I'm thinking of the future, but we're actually having to. We'll come back to that. I'm going to hold on that. I want to move over to Sergio. Realize we want to hear about the window project. It could take a lot of students and US benefits. Tell us a little bit about the first little project, but also just about how teaching is part of your practice as well. Voy a traducir. Pregunto a Sergio que el proyecto de Window Project, proyecto colaborativo, y cuál fue el proceso que para el diseño y también cómo usa su profesor.
I teach a class of music, and people was confused with part and Jose was in the class. And this semester, I get 14 students. We do, we profit. And I get 14 students from Asia, Europe, America, in all the United States. And one or two up in the Bay Area, or not. So the idea is that you understand your role, and to understand what, how the city nonprofits, amplify what the communities. And so every semester we have a new nonprofit report. So the idea was like semesters ago, last semester, Asian House, Governor Julian and Philippine, it's an American nonprofit that has, I believe, a residence right now, provide services to Native Americans. So anyhow, it engages you with the city itself. You learn about something that you didn't know before, and you the window project. We spent 4 months working on the project. We knew that we had to work in this particular space, which is 16 in Chaco. This is a building that has almost 100 feet long windows, like 10 people. Yeah. They just have no money, a little money. But we have tools and we have training that are in the class. Some schools are already not all of them. Let's say he's not in our school, he's not in our college. So out of 14, 7 artists, your class, how many were artists? 7 of them. We get psychologists, people that start economy, so all these people that come to class and you don't know, you're doing research for it. So don't worry about, pain. I mean, that's price and whatnot. And it took us, this class took us, a couple of months to understand where we were going because we spent time in the mission, looking at the mission itself, talking to people, and the students wanted to like somehow, work with local vendors. Mission Street has, I don't know how many vendors, 14 to 26. And then when we were doing that research, we found out that there were like 55 hidden storefronts. So one of the things were there, the ministry is saying, what do we have? There's the vendors, because the vending became a need. So people who didn't know, we started like coming out, understanding, the dynamic of the vendors, brands, so all these things that inform projects. So one of the students that we do young kids, so we went to for school, but and also the flame. The principal like you want a class day for project. So we give the kids cameras, we do not take photographs, we use them everywhere. They would take into the kids. One of the principal class. You see these floating buildings on the photographs, and those floating buildings are the ones that are 50% emission, 50 plus. The, what you see, the kind of the pattern, it is the amount of emission. And one of the things, what we use Photoshop, you can have almost like a what's the name of really more he had a kind of like isn't it really a man. So I mean I was trying to remember the project and one of the kids was like we see this stuff in the mission. It's a money going back. So that was really is when it goes back from immigrants sometimes you start looking at money and see $62 billion last year. Huge. It's like millions of dollars per second. And then Philippines, I think with all the money, I'm sure some of you send money back home and you use these services. So, money grant, you know. So there is some information on that with Windows, yeah, we use it right now, but we changed the money grant. We're using know your rights information for immigrants, they get there with the police, and all these stories in this Windows again, you know, doing the whole semester. There's many machines in this Chinese, Tagalog, Spanish in the songs. There's also maps that for you, you know, Chinese Philippines, if it's everybody that's never doing, but there's not much of that. Um, that's pretty much, you know, the project.
So what are you working on? The class continues.
Oh yeah, very good. So that's the next step. Yeah, Jose's last big uh, uh, show you install right now, a first on the train. The building on Union Street. Then there's a building, 6 feet tall by 30 feet long. So near the building. And the design proposal was same kind of process. You know, we got a lot of America, so there's maps, there's numbers, data, photographs, there's a point, writing, numbers. So that's we installed Thursday the mural. And right now, my class is working with asphalt on Indonesia, and also with vision housing. Yes.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, maybe we can see what, how the mission will be beautified by the public art. Thank you. Those of you that are arriving, please come in, there's some more seats. And, I also want to acknowledge this as well. You were coming in, designed a lantern. Last week we had a scavenger hunt between Chinatown and the mission, and it's working with several organizations and hosted workshops in the summer of last year here with a group of migrant women. And they created little lanterns. And so if you have a chance to follow the work on her page or on the Galeria page, you get to hear the stories of March. And so I just want to practice respected like artists in the community. So welcome to the space, Christine. So I'm curious for you, Joyce. This is a big undertaking. Which of the photos aside, do you have, is there any other like element of an art that you want to add to the body of work in the future, or are you ready to kind of let it rest for a minute? Where do you want it to go? Photography, have anything?
Um, we'll see. I think
Because I think you said
maybe.
Okay.
So first of all, it's the last day that it's gonna be here. But after it's gonna go to the Oakland Asian Law Caucus. Up for um, about 2 months as well. So hopefully more time for it to exist in somewhat of its current form. Um, I, I guess the project itself. I talked earlier about like how it came to be and how we chose people. Um, Making the project was a big undertaking because we did hours and hours of interviews with people. We have very long transcripts and videos, audio, video, written transcripts, and photos from all these individuals and their stories. A lot is here, a lot of which didn't make the cut. But it's still like really interesting, beautiful stuff that people share. So TBD in terms of the future of the book, it could exist more. I don't remember, but we have videos of it. So it's
Julie playing.
yeah, it's literally
Today, so.
yeah. So there's videos, and just for those who haven't seen it yet, and maybe more time afterwards, person see each person has shared their story and their experience. So there's QR codes that you can scan and read those person's quotes, and then also reminders on the wall that you can maybe they're circulating. You can read these people's stories and spend time with them. Of course, because everybody spoke different languages, we did interviews in like I don't know, maybe around 10 different languages. And some of them spoke English, but many of them did not. So we had to do interpretation, everything, transcribing the quotes back and forth, we had to transcribe it and translate, we had to do so many different variations of language changes. So there's just a lot of content that was through the process of making this, in addition to more photos. But I think those can live in different formats. We've been sharing some on social media, or some of it is in person. We'll see.
Great. Looking out. I also want to acknowledge that we have with the group, Ida, joined us. Hi, Ida, around the team too. And here, the think tank with Joyce on making this happen, and actually extremely supportive as we were having the conversations of the work, choosing, the editing of the transcribing, the translation, and just thank you so much for your commitment and sticking with us to materialize it and going to work with us. So thank you for coming. I want to kind of go back to thinking about, the moment that we're in. I think it's important for us to hold that. I think that it's been a rough month. I mean, it's been a rough year, a rough time. But I think I want to call for a moment that has been affected by um, I- and the moment feels like it's still happening and it's only going to get worse. And I know that the recent work that you do, the Asian Law Caucus will be engaging in the birthright citizenship case at the Supreme Court. I think it would be helpful if we could get a little brief. We are doing this. So what is the moment that we're in? What is it that you're going to be arguing, and what could be the impacts of this? That's one part of the question. And the second one, and circle back, is what can art in this particular moment do to bring visibility or to activate people to understand how do we engage with them through art? Maybe vision for art.
Yeah, so the birthright citizenship challenge, one of the first executive on the day he got into office, the executive order that strips birthright citizenship for children born in the United States whose parents don't have legal permanent status. So kids whose parents LPRs, green card holders, or U.S. citizens, they're this executive order, they would not be citizens. This is a departure from a foundational principle of our country that's been in place for years. It's been confirmed in Supreme Court decisions and policy and statutes, and um, yeah, it's a number of legal challenges were brought against it and have been successful thus far. All the courts have looked at this question. They have made preliminary determinations. Yeah, with executive order is not lawful or constitutional, but it's now been and the oral argument date was set yesterday for April 1st. So it's being briefed, and it is, as we all know, there's just been several attacks. I don't, this particular one has, with everything going on, that we get it kind of in a way that reflects the severity of what it would mean. This administration has been so aggressive in supporting and trying to move our community members out. This attack is to make sure that we can't build that we're excluded. No political power cannot stay, the election cannot stay, and it would be completely devastating. It's actually really hard to how state immediately like access to benefits, but just like complete chaos. I mean, and not just for the people who the applies to, but anybody. How are we going to prove citizenship? You have to somehow prove your parents' immigration status. Everybody knows with it's really just profiling and kinds of discrimination and administratively be a complete mess. It's going to lead to restrictions potentially, and if the past is any indication to naturalization and exploitation efforts, it's really hard to understate how difficult this is. But and for art, I mean, I think that this is maybe an example of there's a legal case for it. I don't think we've awareness around it. Was telling our stories.
Yeah, it's a call to action.
A call to action. For sure.
Okay, got it.
And, I think we'll try to, they don't resonate in a way that are resonate. It's just like doesn't have the power, the strength of stories told or creating ones.
So it's a narrative.
It's the narrative, right?
It's a narrative story. Can I? Sure. Go to him. Go ahead.
I just want to something on that point between law, advocacy, and art. I used to work at Asian Law Caucus, worked with a lot of lawyers. I want to appreciate the fact that Winnie among lawyers, because not all lawyers are, has always like I had the unfortunate life experience of having to have worked with a lot of lawyers. Personally, and my thing has always been like, hey, you have a legal case, but you need a campaign around it. If there's no then who even knows about it? The enforcement, like, does it even really matter for people? And so to me, in my past, it was like, okay, if there's legal cases that would be organizing around it, community involved, like communities back in the courthouse or sharing information online or doing all kinds of things to kind of educate people about spaces. But also now, when we're in the artist role, it's like, that's a big part of art. It's like, well, it's still art to be really divorced from reality and advocacy and the work, this type of work to make things better. But also sometimes the advocacy work can, yeah, not always be connected with the art and the creativity and the storytelling. So I feel like these are a great way for us to work together. Part of the goal of the project too is like, um, advocacy in words and briefs can only go so far. Like, you gotta touch a person's heart. Like, you need to really beautiful. And then also, like, beautiful things by themselves are beautiful. We love them. Art is great no matter what. But, like, being able to like experiment with actions and movements and you know to achieve something, I feel like makes it even more powerful as well.
Yeah, that having the exhibition for the last several months, as we've been going through or like organizing and responding to the potential impacts, um, well, and impacts that general the community is feeling through the political climate, and having folks come in and like sit with it, and also having just the faces that constant under these last few minutes, because it reminds us where we're, and it's so amazing to have when we walk in with a big smile. To me, I see her calms you, and it just reminds me that there is joy in coming out of this dark time. So I just really want to say that it's important to also listen accessible. That's been really critical, and having be able to share this is amazing. I want to give a shout out to Bob, who's another very, and Nancy, they're both here. I didn't see you earlier. Please, know, for like artists and been part of the media reception. And we're so thankful that I can support this. Good to see you, and we'd love to hear from you in a minute. Um, I want to move it back to Sergio and talk about, we talked about your class and the work that you're doing with the visibility and build ownership and finding a sense of space. But can you talk about the sanctuary? What is it? The project? City project. Sanctuary city. Can you tell us what it is? I'll hold these as you are talking about it. And yeah.
Yeah, project started in 2008. And that's interesting the project. Then institute and with the Health Foundation, and then we moved to we opened a gallery uh, in Nails Attic on that gallery a long time ago. Um, I work with uh, 5 MFA students from University of Berkeley, CPA, and SFA, and we did all this research on city organizers. Uh, some first cities in 9, and 150 other cities following in the country. It really means that these cities do not cooperate. Right? That's the only thing that centricity is, right? It's a law, but it's by officials, different ways. So you say this in San Francisco with your document. I can tell you. You see that. Uh, so we install all our findings from 89 to 49. All this history, my experience with the board, everything, report to the my neighbors back to Latin America and other countries. So they have all these numbers, all this information, each of the people, on these walls. And nobody cared. And, Obama, the president, and you must, unfortunately. So move forward, time selected, the project was invited to residency in the film gallery. So we spent Chris and I, because only two of us on the project, we spent 4 months in front gallery making. So what is that? From the English, team, same numbers, I'm just changing the documentation, there's importations, there's all these things about the immigration to the United States. Mostly the federal board. The this when we selected, people are freaking out, so people are paying attention. I think now we know what these things. But I always say when I pretty much really one, just three, nobody knew what I was. Now we know what I did, and now we're aware and we're taking action. Back then, in 2010, we were saying abolish art. I would say it took us 20 years to understand. So anyhow, this project has been from Tijuana to Seattle, from Minneapolis, from New York, to probably next year, because Europe is going to take profits of not wanting immigrants. Anyway, long story short, not only the problem worldwide. We have done thousands of posters printed with people. We printed also bags. I said, like, how many and, we have sold uh, around 200 bags, and the money goes to nonprofits. So last week we printed a YMCA, we sold 70 bags, and the money went to immigrant transitions. So in 2018, actually money went to Colorado, and I'm probably in San Diego, Tijuana. So at the time of in Central America to Tijuana in this case. We've done banners and billboards and done podcasts, we've done interviews, of course. We have a lot of people that are coming up, so we go in the city, with people. And it doesn't match when people make a post, they make a post, they feel it, and they feel that they're doing something. And I have, if I'm not a filmmaker, I'm a photographer, but I can do other things. Like I do a lot of collaboration. So making a post is different. That you put in the notes, that moment people realize that they need something, they say whatever it is, it's action. And I think it's very strong with it. And they come out like, oh my god, I did something, that's something that I wasn't before.
I want to talk about the city of San Francisco, the art world. Um, for you as artists in the Bay Area, I think I'd like to hear what can nonprofits, what do you need nonprofits to do for you as makers in the city in this moment? And then the flip side, I'd also like to hear from you, what is your biggest challenge engaging art as in the work that you do? What are the roadblocks communities to understand as well? So I want to hear from both. Like, what do you need, or that?
Ooh, this is a fun question. I'm loaded. What do you think?
We got time and then there's food coming, so we can break it down. Versus,
Well, first of all, I think this thing that I've been on, it almost feels like I was on this thing like 2 years ago, so now I haven't been thinking as much about it. But I feel like so much of the work that is being done, as I mentioned, it could be even better work with artists. Like there's just like um like there's limits to how much you can do. Like even as a photographer, like, let's say there's a big action and they're trying to convince this elected official to do this, to pass this law. And like everyone gets outside and holds up signs and has a rally and sends a bunch of letters, goes to city council meetings and does all. Let's say that the elected official didn't feel like showing up to work that day. And they're like, oh, I'm going to be a rally. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to pay attention. You need the photos to document the thing. You know, like there's a way that art can make people feel a thing, know a thing on a deeper level, and that they may wish to know. So like I've had situations before where I was involved in some rally or something, and we're trying to get an elected official to do something. And I took photos of the rally. I showed them how many people were there. I showed them people's emotions, and I sent them in the email to the elected official. Hey, we want you to do this thing. By the way, here's a photo. Oh, and then they'll see the photo. You know, it's like just a simple fact of documenting something and making it beautiful, and then doing it intentionally as part of your advocacy. You know, there's like a million ways that photos, art, different mediums can be used to affect advocacy, like or like organizing. Like, let's say that you're trying to get somebody to join your organization. I mean, a photo, a video, and a story of a person's experience. Like, there's people in this project that are like, oh my gosh, like this story is like video too. Like we have this he's a member of two here, Guadalupe. Um, okay, this is a project. Um, but like folks like Guadalupe, like folks like Eder and who's from Tulu, like talk about a wage theft campaign and not being paid by his boss. The impact that it had on his family, the way that it made him feel. You see his face. I mean, it's like if you're trying to talk to people about why they might want to be part of something, like seeing a face, seeing a person,
First, you need to be hired. So you're
you know,
Is the question is what you need
yes.
as an artist? So you need to be hired. So
All artists could be hired. You could be hired. I mean, you could be paid and supported. People could understand the importance of our work. But and really just like incorporate it into the work and then plan into the budget for it in the work. I mean, include it as part of your grant. I mean, it's part of the work, and it would be like sometimes I feel like I'm advocating to the advocates, like, hey, this would really help your advocacy work, and I feel like I'm like really pushy. I'm like, I don't want to have to do that. It's just like I think this is mutually beneficial. I think this is good for the whole ecosystem for us to work together and be creative in the work.
Like your webpage on the streaming.
All right. Yeah.
So they can hire her, we will make sure.
Appreciate it. Myself and others, but many others.
What are your thoughts in here on that? And what's your website? Do this.
Now artists that are in my work, they are vital. Not only art, other than artists. And I'm getting what I need from them. I have a very solid and healthy project. Wrong, one of the I done work with police and traffic, and what's very rewarding is the use of the word is done as a tool to educate others. Amazing. I love that. When they call it, okay, we should do that mentoring. So I'm getting what I need. I think that I I'm an academic. I study art in the academy. So I can tell you what do my teachers were, what they teach me, what I understood. One of them is studying English. I and he told me, it's like, what you need to do is you should have, when you get the resources, give it to somebody else. Not like a, not, I mean, money, I pay myself, yes. Also, I pay others. So, and there must be either, workers, there's all the people that have worked in the past, who want to get stuff from the project, other than just, push the report, they get stipends, they get, sometimes they get, consultations, it's dealing with, but anyhow, yeah.
We're gonna keep it direct. I want to hear first your perspective, the challenges of how to include the art. Like, what is the biggest challenge when you're kind of thinking about the operations of Asian Law Caucus? If you know a bit about that, what is the biggest challenge for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're lucky at ALC to have leaders like Nikita and really who recognize the role of art and communications and telling the story and how critical work. I think the challenge we have, especially now, is just resources. Being included tax on our works and drastic cuts in funding, foundations who have walked away, law firms who have walked away, others who have walked away. We don't hide what we do, right? I mean, we can't, and we would, but I think it's hard when you're holding cases and clients going through the door and trying, defense and housing rights, eviction defense, police stuff cases, civil rights cases. So often art is the first thing that's right, and it's not legal nonprofits, but you see art gets cut first in so many instances. It shouldn't be that way. It's that battle of how you balance which fire.
Yeah, it makes sense, and we are seeing that now. Arts are being cut, and that's what I was trying to get at. I just wanted to go and ask you to the artist, how do you feel about the loss of loss of CPA, loss of community cultural spaces, the idea of the shifting of bringing 3 departments into one? Is there an opportunity there, or is it really just a loss? I'd love to hear from your perspective as
Well, you probably have more to say about this than I do, because I would say I'm more of a recent one, so I don't know all the history and all the institutions, like, yeah. But, it is sad that art is, but, I mean, you know, this all the time, just in my life, not really into any of this, it's just like, I feel like our world is happening. A lot of things that are most important are usually the least prioritized, like, like, let's say we have like this work, um, like prioritizes, feel really backwards at times. So it's like, oh, no wonder art is first. Kind of like get it to get it. If you don't get it, then how are you gonna cut it? So it's sad because like we've been talking about, I mean, I think art is it's a beautiful practice for anybody to have a form of expression and to be able to create things and be able to make, like, this world is so distributed, like to be able to like create new, beautiful things. Like that's something we could all use in our organizations, but also just in society overall. Um, so it's very sad that it's being cut. Artists are missing from, institutions are closed. It's a beautiful space where would my stuff go? Like, you know, I'm glad you all still have this beautiful space. So hopefully, you know, you all can stay open. Um, but you know, we need spaces to be able to show our work and places to exchange with each other, places to learn, places to grow up. Maybe a lot of people here don't identify as artists, but you know, even just being around and making stuff, whatever it is, the way art is in life, I think that we can all kind of understand that it's a beautiful thing. So,
What about you, Sergio? Give me your thoughts, I know.
Oh, so yes, I can tell you. TCA.
Looks like I'm in the school of confianza.
I did the United Tree to study for CCA. And I thought CCA, I thought SFAI, Berkeley. So I know some of these positions have been in some system. Michi Cultural Center, I also am there, ongoing. So I think that if that was happening, also, I think CCA calculated, you know, like they became a very fine tool for no reason. They make it hard. The teaching you gotta make hard, not to be a fashion model. You know, fashion, they love their CCA. SFAI had the same problem. SFAI, they had no money on the street. The way they had three, it was very competitive. You know, students were like really into the art. CCA is not doing that. It's a big, huge market. They have biggest market anyway. The country, you know, that already more than review anymore, so it's just a capacity thing. They're not doing the lawyer. That's CCA dealing with that administration. If you complain, they will it's not that's not the problem. You teach a class. So Sai is going, yeah. You said at the beginning, there's something beautiful in this dark moment. Something will come out. You know, we'll figure out. One of the different country, you know, it's so expensive. It's way too expensive. And you come up with no job, not even experience. They should go. It's bad. It's not, you know, doing that. And somehow, you know, you go to school, the start, you know, the whole life, that's not really you want to be hard. Yeah, make a living, you get paid for that. But it's like, $40 million. I mean, that's ridiculous. And that's the outward, or one of the outward. Wow, you know, the fair is it's unfortunate. And CCAC was doing that. CCA, not C. It wasn't crafty anymore. We forgot about the crafts. Yeah, and also, you know, in Sancho money, there's people behind the institution. And they don't money, English shouldn't spend money.
Whole 10-hour guy. And I don't mean to put other artists in the spot, but if any of the artists that would like to offer are in this moment of shift in our city, I would be open to hearing any comments that you might have or want to join this part of the conversation. No pressure. Want to say something? Because you have, I mean, Nancy, both, I mean, you have been in this for so long. And it saddens me that people that have given their life, have given their commitment, and are now in their moment, they're constantly moving us. And I think that what is it that we're not getting right? Or what is it that we need to, as an artistic community, and You've done it.
Can we give her a round of applause?
I don't know where to start. There's so much history. I was at I'm old. I was at the start of all the cultural centers. Good job. With all these cultures and kids. It breaks my heart to see the arts go downhill. I remember a time when the California Arts Council had money to pay every single artist that they funded. We all went to cinema, and all we had to pay was $25 bill, just so we could relax and get to know each other. And I remember a time when I was also a funder because of a family fund. They had money to fly me around the country to meet other funders and to share knowledge with them. And it gave me a bigger perspective on arts locally than I would ever get. Those times are gone. And you ask how did we get here? I think somewhere along the line, there was a movement. We have to do what back then. We spent 3 days hard, and we all shared our art. And that's invaluable. It's relationships that you have. They did the 7 years and that gave us the community. And it also fueled our heart. And I remember when the Yanez started the Galleria de la Raza, he had what innovator. He had an idea of gathering books together and putting them in a gallery. Maybe they weren't off of it. But he got us big panels all in a gallery. And the entire show, whatever design we were painting, and we got each other. It was intense. We worked together for a whole month, and the public could come by and see us work. It's a celebration as it is now. The audience or the neighborhood or whatever. Us. So we were community artists. It was part of the original Iowa Hotel where the street workshops started. And tenants at the were fighting a 9-year battle as eviction. They came down every day. We went there every day and interacted with them. So they just figured out our struggle. But there was that separation that there is now. I would say now we have to construct ourselves without this, without when you talk about money. There are 50 years in community arts to get you all right. But on the other hand, and here. And we still were thriving. It's not the you don't have a steady good job, whatever you do. You just do what you feel in your heart, and everything goes on. What do you? That's what I believe in under living. So we got to do more stuff for business, for people talking to each other and artists among artists, lawyers among lawyers. But I know all those things, and I've done that. That's why I call myself the artist. And a lot of artists want that label. But I tell you, that label years later, when you write up all this stuff, then I have a harder time trying to figure out connect. Just I'll just go on and I'll just do it.
Thank you so much for sharing your words now. So that we can,
Okay.
and it'll be documented in our archives.
Yeah, we came to San Francisco, refugees from New York City. Back in 1994. I had come from a science background, and then the our student union from school and the anti-war movement at the 60s. I changed course from science into journalism. I wanted to report what I thought was really important for the American country was going at that time. We had Nixon coming in 1970 after he won the election. It was Cambodia, bombing of White House in Cambodia, which really radicalized a lot of people. And so I saw this camera as a tool for some sort of outcome affirmation of what I saw and what I was not seeing in court. And I can tell you that the same thing is happening right now. Corporate news is not really covering what's really happening out there. These people with cell phones, cell phone activists, photographers to make things. So anyway, we joined Kearney Street Workshop. Kearney Street was really incredible in terms of the community built into the and so many artists converged into workshop to develop a craft, also to develop a vision of how they wanted to engineer their lives on typical career. So that's kind of where Nancy and I were headed. And basically, photography for me was not learned in school. Art education, real education was on the street, and with fellow photographers. And photographers at Kearney Street, actually, they had masters in photography at the Art Institute, and history, PhDs, and whatnot. So these practitioners actually taught me the ropes. Basically, I just absorbed what I could from them, and they were leaders. But we had a lot of fun. We'd go out, do photo field trips, and bring the younger people in. That's a shit that I don't see today may exist for Asian bracket anymore. So that was kind of the beginning. That was the springboard for all these things that we did in the mid-70s present. Got involved in Asian Collective, Asian American Theater Workshop. We did cross-cultural work, mission graphic printmaking. Obviously, coordinated by us, Market Cultural Center. So there's so many interrelationships within the city that nurture our art. And so I feel sad that it's happening currently, but at the same time, I think it's like Kearney Street Workshop, maybe 9 months. It kept on working and kept on, no matter what happened. Even if there was no funding or there was some funding, things change. And that's the change that we have to anticipate.
Well said. The most constant thing in life is change. And so it brings me joy to hear your stories and to thank you for sharing because we know we've been here and we walked through our path. So not all is dark and gloomy. That we have the goals, but things do transform, including ourselves. Have to transform and change and expand and be on the go and come back. But it's thank you for sharing those words, both of you. And Nancy, congratulations on your included and being included in the exhibition that is going right now. It's expanding and is going to be taking in the summer. Your work is created, a self portrait. You did a self portrait for Renee. So, that's one of our co-founders, Renee, and Mason Roma there. We're very much on setting up the old space and running it. And just, but thank you for sharing. And we also hope you're enjoying your food. So, I know you guys want to get to food. So, let's come back over here real quick. And what am I not asking that you think is important moment you're taking from this exhibition, from this collaboration, you as participating, it's been a season for us of three really amazing centered projects on immigration of the city, thinking as migrants, as leaders in their own communities, healing. So what do you want to share? What asking that you want to share?
Okay, well, there's lots to talk about, but I'll just reflow. One thing that might not be apparent is that I mean these I mean working in 2000 all the way till today. We started this project in 2003, and I remember having conversations then um, developing this project. Time in terms like immigration, like there was all these other issues going around. Of course, there's always a topic of the day grabs people's attention and immigration. That those of us who deal with it know it's always happening. Important issues. ICE is has been every year since whenever they were began. Um, and there were deportation defense cases that were struggling with like taxes, et cetera. Kind of like grab person like this today, but it was always important. And we created this project at a time and we were like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen in a couple of years, but these stories are the language is still important. The experiences of immigrants in the Bay Area is always. So I think just like part of the intention of creating the project and also doing it in a way where it is really led by stories and experiences. It's like we want people to just feel and see the importance of it. It doesn't really matter what's going on today or yesterday, but this is still important. And then of course, here we are today. It's kind of like a very dark moment in time, immigration, and just like so much negativity, horrible things going on out there. But I think and like I think art is really powerful and being understand what is really important. It's like it's just as important to celebrate as the moments of joy, the stories. I mean, there's everything from like really deep struggles to hilarious moments. I mean, really funny jokes I don't know, like I guess for me it's just like I can like feel the spirit of these people like there's so every whole range of emotions, every whole range of experiences, from the highest highs to the lowest lows, everything in between. Um, but it's like all important. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of like the spirit in which the project was created. I think that's always true, no matter how whatever that is going on out there. It's like to be able to come back to what is important, come back to cinema. Okay, why is it important? What are we all here to do? Like, you know, what's the point? What's the point of all this? Yeah, like really want like to hope that most people really do that. Say,
What have we not asking you, Winnie, and so, what have we not that you want to share?
Other questions? I don't know if anybody has any questions in that.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna go to that too.
Okay. You
Do you want to add before we go to the audience?
It's gratitude. The not artist talk, just the role that incredible and incredibly important we play in the movement to feed our soul and make us laugh. Be able to tell our stories.
And if you know, because sometimes you go to on lectures, so you're working on this,
United.
you're just, so, yeah.
Hard to think about that. So I want to open it up for questions. If you have any questions, maybe share.
To Sergio, I appreciate your time because I think that the story to be able to create that the process to create stories related to also students being able to more
Yeah, mentioned one the quotes on the project. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes, that's right. You're a board member. We like all art. So we're working on it.
back in our days, we used to groups like to home plays. And people just, that was before social media. That's how we did it. We created like, and did it.
For that. Who are you?
Oh, my name.
Yeah. Yeah, very nice to meet you. Man, I can feel it. Anyone else have questions or comments? And did everyone get food? I know we got some. But we're getting, I'm sorry for you. Anyone else have comments, questions? Okay, the food got to us now. Well, I have one just thing for one that we really want to have all of our exhibitions that close, when they close our conversations. We want to have a meal with our community. And we're so thankful that you all attended. And if you have any spare change, it takes money to use the word again, but it does take money to make things happen. There are QR codes on your table if you want to contribute. Nothing's too little, nothing's too big. And, you know, we need it right now, and we're trying to make sure that we sustain. And so, but if you also, there's other ways you can support us. We're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for interns. This is a community space. It takes a lot of community power to make things happen. And so you're also just welcome to come hang out and put work in our space. And we're here during the week. We just want to be in the community. So thank you for being here. Okay, go ahead. It's hungry.
I know, we gotta eat. I just wanted to say, this last week, you see the photos around the wall, but if you have the time, please, check out the stories from each person. There's a QR code next to each person, there's also some binders floating around, but, yeah, I think the stories are beautiful. And I'm not just saying this to, you know, pump up myself, this is very much story, but, we put in a lot of work to transcribe, translate, and just create these stories of each person, and yeah, you know, if you have some time to spend with them, you know, with them or whatever, yeah, I think that.
Well, thank you for your partnership. Because we work together, I guess Supreme Court or do some kind of action. Okay, we should talk about that. That is the call to action. Where are we going to be on April 1st? To support and enjoy. Thank you. Can we get a group for the artist proposal?